Hey marketing leader, today I'd like to talk to you about something that you may not know. There is a surprise, right? No? Okay, well, there you go. We're talking about user stories. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase that. We're talking about building website that has your customer at the core of it. How about that? Sounds better? Of course it does, right? We want to make sure our customers or website visitors, anyone who interacts with our brand, no matter of their stage in the funnel, that they're happy. Of course, that's all what we want. At least we have something in common. Anyway, without the rambling, let's go ahead and take a look. I said user story. And what the hell is user story? User story is a way of putting the user at the center of it. We think about writing a story. This is all it is. A story, a very simple short story. I mean, one sentence, hardly a story, but let's stick with it, all right? Where user does something to their benefit. It's that simple. And there is structure to it. There's template to it. But on the very basic level, it's a way to write about a feature from user perspective. So if you have a newsletter, if you have crazy idea for navigation, or if you want some kind of calculator tool on your website, you flip it on a head and think from the user perspective, not why you building it. You're thinking why the user needs it. This is completely different type of thinking, and it comes from the agile methodology, from Agile Manifesto. We'll talk about it more in future videos, but for now, this is all you have to know. User story is about the user, not you. Just to keep it very clear, our highest priority when writing user story and building any kind of feature for your website is to satisfy your customer. It's to deliver value for your end user, because if you do that, you'll get the benefit from it. You will reap all the benefits from it too. So if your client's happy, you're happy, not the other way around. Now, user story is not necessarily software engineering stuff. You can use it in marketing. I guess you can use it everywhere. Why not? You can take it out from the software world and apply it to anything you do in your life. To be honest, I even replaced fridge in my home using agile user story. I'm not gonna go into a detail. I might tweet about it if you want, or leave it, describe it in a comment section. If you want to know more, do ask. But I'm telling you, you can use it now in whatever line of work, and have a nice experience, enjoy the benefit from it, and be that much better than your competition or your colleague next desk. Yep. If I was to define on my personal level, I like to keep user stories intriguing enough to pull people in, but also detailed enough to keep them around. And I will explain later in the video why I think that. For a long time, I was just winging it, because user story, it just feels natural to me. And regardless whether there's a template, formula, you can appreciate the empathetic aspect of it and think about features and things you do overall in your life from someone else's perspective. It's a skill you have to master. I haven't mastered it, certainly, but I'm getting better each day. And for a long time, I was just playing by ear. But as it happens, there is a very interesting formula called 3 C's, okay? So 3 C's, C, right? You have a card, you have a conversation, you have a confirmation. Card is effectively a post-it note. It is what it is. You write down on a piece of paper what the story is about. I don't want to go into much detail. You can also leave story points on it, leave extra annotations, but don't bother for now. Just write down your story. What do you think the user should do and get from it, from whatever you're building? That's the card part. Now, conversation is probably the most interesting part. It's the entire discussion around the card that happened between you, your team, product owner, and anyone involved, really. We can call them stakeholders for now. But the conversation is actually where you discuss the viability of it all, eligibility. Does it make sense? Is it worth it? And how the user will benefit from it. You can actually, it's like a proper discussion between people who care the most. As with any story, it has to have an end. And that's where confirmation comes in. When you write a story, you have to define when you think it's done, what it means that story is complete. That is fairly vague without going into any technical solutions, that kind of jargon rubbish. No, just keep it simple, keep it plain English. What does it mean that a story is done? If none of those C's make sense to you right now, that's okay. We'll get to template with examples below. Well, we'll clarify all of that. But for now, you have to know there's card, there's conversation, there's confirmation, and they all come together to create a good user story. It's fair if you ask yourself, what the hell? Why bother? This is a good question, and the biggest benefit in creating user stories, apart from those that I mentioned when user is at the center of it all, is that it changes the mindset of everyone involved in creating that feature, in the delivery team. And it makes them flexible, sustainable, more efficient, and better. One of the points that I really like about Agile, and that concept transcends into user stories, is that Agile promotes collaboration over documentation or communication over documentation. What it effectively means, you have to talk to your team at all times, frequently, to catch up, to raise any concerns, to solve problems, and no one feels alone. Everyone feels part of the team, like they belong and they are going in the same direction. And even if something goes bad, because you remained flexible, efficient, you learn from that mistake and you fix it and you just move on. Simple as that. So in short, I would say that's why you should bother, to keep your team flexible, efficient, happy, satisfied, feel like they belong. It's just great overall. What I can do for you is record another video on Agile itself, on why the whole principle of Agile is so fantastic that we embraced it entirely across entire company at NerdCow about 3 years ago, and ever since we never looked back. Trust me, it's just fantastic. Before we actually write a user story, we have to pick someone on our team to write it for us. And I know because of strong links to software engineering and programming overall, you might be thinking that it has to be someone that's tech savvy, probably product owner, or maybe head of development. No, really no. I meant it when I said at the beginning of this video that user stories can be used for any department at any point of time, and it's a great tool overall, universal, and it can be adapted to any scenario. I really meant that. When I asked the question, who does write a user story, or most likely you ask that question, the answer is, how about you? How about your friend? Or pick someone who has no technical background whatsoever, and they will do a great job. Yes, if the company is of a bigger size, and there's hierarchy of teams, maybe cross-functional teams even, there's probably someone on the team who knows more about tech than the other person. And it's great to give them that responsibility because they'll be better at estimating, better at understanding the language from the technical department, and they may be even better at explaining those requirements, delays, or scope or requirements to anyone else in the company who may not understand them had they used some kind of jargon. It's one reason to pick someone who has some kind of just tipped their fingers in tech world. But it doesn't have to be that way, because if you're a marketing leader, it's likely that you're not working with anything tech. You're probably creating PPC campaigns. You're managing someone who posts on social medias, or you plan your next newsletter campaign. There's nothing tech about it, and you can still use user stories for it. So that's why I said and asked, how about you? You can write a user story just as well. Right, examples. Again, as with Agile, there's no right or wrong. You do what works for you. But if you don't know what you do, then it's good to have some kind of anchor, starting point, from which you can then develop your own practice and habits and whatnot. The template is, as a user, I want to, so that. And those breaks were the gaps you have to fill. So this is the template you can use to write a user story. As a user, and that user is a role that person takes in your story, can be a customer, can be stakeholder, can be investor, can be admin, can be editor, like journalist, like you define the user just so everyone knows who they are in the story. That's it, the character itself. So as a user, insert the user, I want to insert the action, what they want to achieve by doing things that they would do. Okay, so can be sign up, download, call, change, like literally anything. And then there is the final part of the sentence, so that, and there goes benefit, why they are performing the action and what's the value for them. At the beginning of the video and somewhere in the middle, or perhaps repeated, that user is the hero of that story. It's all about the value for that user, and so that as a result you would be much more happier. That's what I meant. You have to write a story which describes someone's action in a way that's beneficial to them. For example, you can say, as a new website user or as a new website visitor, I want to read more testimonials so that I can trust the company. I was probably a bit botched, but you get the idea. So a user comes to website and doesn't trust you as a brand because they've never come across you. They want to learn more about what other people think, read the reviews so that they can build that trust with you. For example, that was one way to look at it. Again, user is at the center of the story. They don't trust you, but they want to trust you. And the way they can achieve that is by reading reviews, for example. Another example could be as a prospect. No one calls themselves prospect, but again, you're writing it. As a prospect, I want to book a demo so that I can see if the product is a right fit. Simple, okay? And then that just changed the entire approach to the problem. The problem is they don't know if the product is the right fit for them. So what your team can deliver to satisfy that requirement. You see? It's neat. While the template is widely known, and we still use it at NerdCow, it's been outgrown by more experienced agile teams or people who just followed the agile approach here and there. And they simply say things like administrators can ban naughty users. Simple as that. Or website visitors can download resources. The benefit is assumed, but again, when you get more familiarized with that approach, it will come more naturally. And you'll get away with many of those shortcuts, I would say. So give it a go. It's really great. Whenever we build a website at NerdCow, whenever we plan anything really, we always start with the user. You can't build something and then think how the user will use it or how to sell it to the user. You have to start with the user and then think about the solution that they will buy from you or they will use. Always think about the user first and you'll be great. And I think user stories are just one way to approach this, to maybe inject that a little bit of agility into your organization's culture, because it is a cultural change. It really is. Unfortunately, this is a bit of tangent now, but unfortunately, either everyone is agile or no one is agile. You can't have an agile marketing department when everything else is just a waterfall, subsequent. So waterfall is like a opposite to agile. It's not necessarily worse or better. It has just different purpose, different meaning. So in that case, you might struggle. But anyway, even try it for yourself or try it on a small project that you have that maybe doesn't involve anyone else from the company but you and your team, and see how it performs. I think you'll do great. And next time you send an email, think what the user will get from it. Like, what's the benefit for it, for them? What's in it for them? And it helps. It really helps. So that's really it. I hope you're that much wiser now. So we went through what a user story is, the structure of it, like why even bother, and who can write it, and some of the examples. And now off you go. Write a user story. You can write one in the comments. As a fan of Thomas from NerdCow, I want to subscribe to that channel so that I am up to date with the latest videos. Thank you so much. Bye bye.